welcome to Skylark Church Soundbites. Now, there is an unwritten rule when it comes to packed lunches, especially those eaten in confined spaces, and that is no egg and no fish. Now, randomly, one of my favourite stories in the Bible contains a lunch such as this. A young boy with a packed lunch of fish and bread. Now, we can find this story in all four Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke and John in the New Testament. And we pick up the story. Jesus has been teaching all day. Large crowds had gathered. They talk about 5,000 people being there. And it's probably fair to say that only the men would have been counted. But we know that children were there because there was one boy in particular that stood out from the crowd. And he helped feed all those people. Because it was the end of the day, people were getting tired, probably a bit restless, and they were certainly hungry. There was nowhere to buy anything. And the disciples went to Jesus, presented him with this problem, and he turned it back to them to try and find a solution to the problem they were facing. This boy gave them his lunch. Now, there was only 2 fish and 5 loaves, certainly not enough to feed 5,000 people. But when he gave it to Jesus, Jesus blessed it, distributed it, and there ended up being enough for everybody to have full stomachs at the end of the meal, plus 12 basket loads left over. It made me think, in Matthew 19, verse 14, Jesus said, "For the kingdom of heaven belongs to such as these." And he was referring to children. I wonder how many times when we are presented with a problem and we take it to God and we look for the logical answer, when actually what he needs is a faith response. You see, the disciples looked at the problem through the eyes of logic. They started arguing amongst themselves about how they were going to feed the 5,000 people. The fact that there was nowhere to buy anything. And even if there had have been, they wouldn't have had enough money to buy food for everybody. And yet it took a child to see things through a different lens. Because I think only a child would have had the gumption to think that his mere packed lunch would have been sufficient to help feed all those people. Sometimes maybe we need to humble ourselves like children and say, God, here I am. This is what I have. Please take it and do only what you can do with it. I hope you have a great evening. Be blessed. Bye.